Welcome to Grit, Grace, and Resilience. I'm your host, Michelle DeGrange. I'm a corporate leader, mentor, life coach in training, and a mom to what feels like 37 kids. Just kidding, only 6. Apparently, all that qualifies me to overshare on the internet. Every one of us has a story of overcoming, and this podcast is here to dig into those and talk about life and what overcoming with grit, grace, and resilience looks like. If you like things a little messy and sometimes a little unhinged, you'll fit right in. Welcome. We're glad you're here. Welcome to Grit, Grace, and Resilience. Today, I am super excited to have my long-term friend get to come on today and talk about her incredible story that has captured me from day one. And I am excited for you to get to hear her resilience and her grit and her grace and how it has shaped her life, and just a window into all of our chaos, all of our stories, and how it shapes us into just incredible human beings. And one of the biggest takeaways that I love so much about Mel is her ability to turn what was painful at points in her life into service for others. So welcome, Mel Lindmeyer.
Thank you so much, Michelle. I'm so honored to be on. And I always, honestly, I just look forward to any time I get to have a conversation with you. And that's how I see this. So I'm just excited to be able to converse with you for the next little bit. Thank you for having me on.
This is what drag a body friends look like. And I will say, like, you know that conversation, Mel Robbins did a podcast on it a long time ago, and it was talking about your friendships that are branches and leaves. And I know I sent that to you. It was like 5 or 6 years ago. And you have always been a branch and a trunk, even when kids, as you get older, there's all these kids and there's all these careers. It doesn't matter if 6 months go by or a year goes by. I can tell you so many times through my first divorce, through the death of my sister, in those 2 of the most painful experiences of my entire life, you were a core foundational branch in both of those. And I wouldn't know what to do without you.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm excited for other people to just get to hear your amazing story and the things that you have shared with me of having a childhood like most of us that is not optimal, that is not perfect, but how you have let it shape you into this amazingly grace-filled, grit-driven, powerful woman who has so much wisdom through it. So let's start at the beginning and talk through your roots and kind of the world that you were born into.
Okay, fair enough. So jumping right on into it then. First off, I do have to address something. You said you don't know how you would be able to survive or get through. Michelle, you are a survivor. You will always survive. You will
Oh.
always be okay because you have that in you. You always have that in you. I'm just fortunate enough that I get to be there for the wild but always fun ride. So wanted to
It
address,
is
girl. You
always
don't
a
need saving.
circus.
You don't need saving, that's for sure. You
I
save yourself.
know.
So
And that is so true and always such a good reminder. It's just amazing to me when I think about 2 of the most painful experiences in my life, literally, that took me to like places where I almost felt like I was completely checked out, like outside my body. Not even just numb, but it's even hard to remember,
yeah.
like where you feel like you were somehow almost just completely outside your body on another plane. Those were such core pieces in my life. And you had such an incredible anchoring way of helping just be present and just show up in those really, really hard moments.
Yeah. Well, sometimes that's all you can do for the people you love. You don't know what to do, you don't know what to say. So sometimes it's just I'll just be here. I'll just be here.
And come help put your house back together so you
Yeah,
can bring 2 new girls home
that's
and
right.
help clean out all of these bedrooms so we can make space.
Yeah.
And complete chaos and complete craziness.
Yeah, or shove our faces with food while we cry and talk and scream and
Yep.
continue to eat more
Ice
food.
cream. Ice cream especially. Yep.
No,
I love you, friend.
I love you too. I love you too. Okay, so I wanted to address that first. Thank you. Um, Going into your actual, I guess, point of where you wanted to start, kind of the roots and origin, if you will. Uh, as you can tell, audience, I am Filipina. So that is the background in the household that I grew up in. So it was very much it was a very strict household. It was very much, we are, I don't know how else to put this, but kind of decoration. As children, we were decoration.
Okay.
You get the straight A's, you do really well, you bring honor to the family, you don't misbehave. All issues, troubles, anything, problems, stay behind closed doors, behind locked doors. And unfortunately, that also extended to domestic violence, to any other
Mm.
kind of violence within the household. Nobody else was to know, nobody else was to hear. All of that stuff is very much kept under wraps. So there's that piece of it. And then also just growing up with a mom who was a single mother for a really long time and married a not a great guy, not a great guy. He gave us my amazing little sister. She lives in Washington, Ashley. She's a great person with a big heart. But he wasn't a great person, and he brought a lot of turmoil and a lot of bad situations and people into our home that never should have been allowed. And we were a military family on top of that, so we moved everywhere, all over the world. Um, Europe especially too. So it was a very nomadic, very unstable, very aggressive household. And then on top of that, we didn't have any money. So,
To add to it.
a little bit more, just a little bit more to the plate here. So, my point in mentioning all of that isn't a woe is me, because just like you kind of alluded to, Michelle, we all have something. We all have something. Everybody has some sort of a trial and tribulation, something. Some people have more serious, and some don't. But we all have something that we had to overcome. And those were all pieces that we had to navigate together and overcome together. Especially when I was about 12 years old, my mom had disappeared. So my mom disappeared. It was my little sister and I, so she would have been 5 years old at the time. So it was just Ashley and me left behind, and we had to figure out how to get by day. I feel like I'm
When
kind of
you
jumping
say
a little bit, but that just naturally flowed that way. Sorry, but really,
no,
how we walked it through together.
when you say it was just you two and your mom left, were you like who were you then living with?
I had no one. It was quite literally just us. So we had a very strong suspicion that her husband had murdered her. She was in the middle of a divorce. It was a very rough marriage. Not just the violence, but lots of other things that you can imagine that your audience can already probably come to their own conclusions. Um, and it was one of those things where I kind of had to figure out that the only way I could keep Ashley from going to her father, who was not a good man, was to figure out a way that we can continue to go to school, continue to pay our bills, do whatever we had to do to try to not let anybody know. Because again, keep in mind my roots and upbringing, we didn't let other people in. We didn't we didn't tell people, we didn't go to cops, we didn't go to child protective services. We don't do things like that. So I was just trying to make do until I could no longer make do until it became
What is that? What
the
does
big.
that even look like, Mel? Like seriously, what does that even look like? Like, did you have an apartment? Like, what were you
Mhm.
doing, and how did you at such a young age navigate that?
Um, So you know how I was mentioning to you earlier, you didn't need saving, you would save yourself.
Hmm.
So I feel that way about a lot of things. And don't get me wrong, I don't think any 12-year-old little girl should have to save herself. I don't mean that. I just mean it's one of those things where when you feel you have no other option,
Right.
you figure out a way to make do. So that was kind of how it was for us. I would find different savings around the house that my mom had. I would pay our rent for our townhouse apartment, if you will, over in right outside of Denver, Colorado. I would make sure that I walked Ashley to school because she, like I said, she was 5 years old. She was in school at that time. I'd make sure I was walking Ashley to school before I walked myself to school. At the end of the day, I'd make sure that I would leave school as soon as possible or leave my last period a little bit early so I could walk her to school and walk her home. And just did that. Did that for only a couple months because
But
obviously
still,
can't get it.
even a
Can't,
couple of months.
yeah.
I'm thinking of my kids right now, they would literally die. Like there is no way. I mean, if I was not here to go to Trader Joe's or to stock the freezer, no one would know where to go to pay
Yeah,
rent.
meatloaf.
That would not even, yeah, 100%. Like, how did you even at 12 years old know where to go pay rent? Know that were you already managing some of that stuff?
Yes. Yeah. So our mother had a very bad gambling problem. She didn't have a fantastic marriage, so there would be many times where she just wouldn't be home. She wouldn't come home. She'd be gone for weekends at a time and not tell us, or maybe leave a little note. Um, and so I'd have to. I'm not going to pretend like I raised my little sister. No, it was nothing like that. But we definitely had to grow up a lot faster than we
Hmm.
should have. So yes, we were managing ourselves a lot more. We were managing the house a lot more. So, and it's not like our mom was gone all the time, but
Yeah.
she wasn't the American household Brady Bunch mom, or, it wasn't the Leave It to Beaver home. Is that right? Leave It to
Which I
Beaver?
don't think any of us definitely had. I
Yeah,
mean, wouldn't that be nice? But
yeah.
it definitely, I mean, I have to assume that in there like has been a part of shaping just this resilient, like very independent woman. I mean, that you have become. And so career focused in so many aspects, and you've risen up through your organizations, all of them, without necessarily like formal education. I
Mhm.
mean, it, your upbringing to me is filled with so much grit and so much resilience that I think about your childhood a lot, and I think it had to be part of what shaped you. I mean, learning at 12 years old to have to manage such big concepts and to take care of another human being.
Mhm.
How did you even figure out starting to make any money? Or because you mentioned that you were figuring out how to pay for things.
Mhm. I got involved with some pretty bad people, let's just say. People
Okay.
that helped me with making income. So, nothing that I'm proud of, obviously, but the reality of the area that I was and what I had around me and what I felt were my options at the time. Um, so that gave us a little bit of money. And like I said, my mom was a really big gambler. I found stashes of quarters, dollar coins, dollar bills, nothing crazy, but found stashes of money here and there around the townhouse too. And that's also why, just to give you a little bit of insight, that's why I didn't
Mhm.
dig too much into the specifics, if you will, um, because honestly, that wasn't really what I learned so much from. I learned from the pieces that kind of came as the result. So you had
Yeah.
just mentioned me being career focused. Well, I learned and I saw that my mom really depended on men. She would
Hmm.
get stuck in that cycle. She would constantly be stuck in some sort of a cycle, and she would accept things that I already knew I would never accept. There'd be the explosions and violence. There'd be the apologizing, I'll never do it again. I'll never do it again. I'll never hurt you. There would be a little bit of calmness where things seemed like they were going to go well for a while. Then there would be tension building again until there were the explosions again. And it would just constantly be that cycle. So I already knew And I learned from her that that's not what I wanted. I never wanted to have any sort of, I never wanted to give up the ability to feel like I could be under economic abuse or feel
Yeah.
like I couldn't control my own money or the ability to make my own
Mhm.
way or feel trapped anytime because I had no other options. I learned those things through my childhood and upbringing. I always knew that I was going to be an independent woman and that I never needed a man to save me. I always knew I'd be able to save myself. So even though it wasn't necessarily a, hey, I'm going to sit down and I've been taught these things. I know these things,
Right.
taught me these things. She did. She absolutely
Hmm.
taught me that I knew I wanted better for myself. Um, and for the ability to be the type of mother that I knew I would eventually want to become for my children also. And then also the giving back person, that giving back portion, if you will, the acts of service, a lot of that stemmed from never being able to reach out for help. And if I knew that we really, really needed help, not even knowing where to start. Where are those resources? Are there resources? Because none of that stuff was really readily available to me, or at least I never felt or knew. Again, keep in mind I was a child. I didn't feel like there were resources. So part of that stems from that too.
Is that where this idea came from? That, I mean, ever since I met you on your annual birthday, you have some kind of project, some kind of giving project, whether it's clothes or food or raking up leaves. Like how did that become? Was it conscious or unconscious? Did you like think that through as like this is what I'm going to do? This is like, because I look at it like a legacy. Like when I think about you, that is an absolute legacy that you're teaching your kids and your friends, myself included. Like every year, I wait for the turkey post to remind me to go to the grocery store and get my free turkey with my $100
Love
grocery bill, right? So I can go donate it. But that, when I think about you, is such a legacy. Where did that all start?
Well, thank you. I've never heard that before, so I can't tell you how much that also means to me because it's not a
Oh,
conscious thing. So I appreciate that. I know this is going to sound silly, but let me take it back a little bit. As you know, Michelle, but your audience may not be aware, it took me a long time to decide to have children of my own. And it's not because I didn't want to be a mom. I always knew I wanted to be a mother. It just, the idea of bringing a child into this world was terrifying to me for many reasons. Um, and long story short, I I I wanted to make sure that I could leave a positive mark in this world and realized that it was ridiculous of me to be scared to bring children into this world because of this scary world and all of these bad things that could happen. I'm not even an erotic person, so it's even silly to say that out loud. I'm aware of this. But that was a big reason why I waited till my 30s to have kids. And then I realized, okay, well, I can also help with that. I can be the example to my children and I can create my family and we can create something to help build something better, to make a positive mark on the world. And I knew to do that, I needed to be the example with that and let my children see that for themselves too. Because selfishly or not, the feeling that you get by knowing you're helping others is unmatched. You can say it's because
agreed.
I'm giving back, it's for them. Yeah, sure. But I'm not going to pretend like I don't get a dopamine hit. Like I for sure do. I absolutely do. Knowing that what I'm doing might positively influence or positively impact someone or even somehow down the road save them in some facet is absolutely a selfishly fantastic feeling, in addition to obviously wanting to be able to help them. So, I knew I always wanted to help. I always knew I had this acts of service pull and drive in my heart. I always had done that. The difference is when I had kids of my own, I realized I probably needed to let more people in on that too, to make it more fun for the kids, to make a bigger impact. And then also as I got older, and started talking to more people about things that drive them, like you, Michelle, I realized how many amazing people I have as part of my tribe, as they say. it's not me saying, let's do this code drive. It's not me saying, let's go feed the homeless. It's, hey, I'm going to go do this awesome thing with these people that I absolutely love because I know they want to do this also. If we're all going to do it, let's just do it together. Let's just make it a thing. Let's make it a party. Let's do something good together because why the heck not? And sometimes people want to do it. Again, they just don't know where to start or they don't know how or they don't have the connections to be able to do that. So maybe if I can help facilitate that, we'll be able to make a bigger impact together. And we do always have fun too. Again, selfishly, we're helping people, but it's
For
always a
fun. Well, and I'm amazed always like how many friends you have that come and participate in this and do it every year. Like I'm trying to think over the years, there has been homeless feeding. There's been the rake up boys, doing rake up for elderly who can't rake up all of their leaves. There's been the coat drive. There's been, I mean, what am I missing? Like you have done some really cool things
well,
that
I'm an ambassador also for the Women's and Children's Alliance. So we've also done those donation drives. We've done spaghetti feeds for the pantries. We've done community yard sales, if you will, when we're trying to raise money for the food pantries here in town after 2020 hit. Just yeah, different things altogether. A little bit different sometimes.
did that stem out of just like your yearly annual birthday? Like, did it just kind of grow? Because like now, what did we just talk about the other day? The other nonprofit organization that you're venturing into now. Is
Oh
that
yeah, the
different than the
school
Women's
supply.
Alliance? Okay.
Yeah.
So did all of that kind of stem from the work that you did every year for your birthday?
Uh, I wouldn't say it did because honestly, we were always doing something. We were just
Hmm.
keeping it, we were just keeping it to ourselves. Unless I got
Okay.
tagged on something for social media, I wasn't the person who was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go do this."
Hmm.
Why? I personally don't believe in that. I think it kind of takes away from the mission, if you will. So a lot of it just came from that, where it was like, "Hey, Mel, you help us over here. This is also something that we're looking to do. Would you be interested?" So a lot of it just came from that, wanting to help out the community, make an impact. The school supply drive, honestly, I just kind of lucked into that one because we've always done something like that where we have sponsored a couple different families or different schools, whatever it is, or anybody who needed it. And then when we moved out to where we live now, the schools started doing that a little bit more aggressively. So that was really cool. But then it also showed me that there was a bigger need and
Need.
yeah, a much bigger need than I would be able to afford to do by myself. And I just happened to see on one of the community forums that there was another person essentially saying, "Hey, do we have this available? Do we have this available?" And then just a whole bunch of us came on saying, "Nope, let's do something. Nope, let's do something." And a gal by the name of Julie, she owns Star Spirit with her husband, the magazine publication. She just kind of got the group going, and then I don't know, probably a dozen of us all just started jumping in and it turned into something. So it's been pretty amazing. And it's again, it's not
Way
because anybody
amazing.
we have to, it's just we got together to do it. There was a need. There was a need and everybody said, we can help with that.
I love that it's always connected to still social, like, because I feel like it's so hard when you've got, I mean, 37 kids, three, two kids, three kids. I mean, it doesn't even matter. Like, it just, when you have a career and you have kids, life just gets so busy and it gets so hard to find time to hang out with your girlfriends and like do things outside of that setting, right? Like I always used to get this horrible mom guilt because I traveled so much for work, which you now travel quite a bit too. That when I was home, I felt like I needed to just be home and just be focused. So it was always so hard for me to find social time. And yet another area that I've always appreciated for you of you was starting sup bitches, and and like okay, so we're and you start this whole group of women that are going to go out and do paddle boarding, and
Mhm.
even though majority of the time I feel like I could never make it, like it's just another instance of you still contributing and still pulling people together and always in such a gracious way of like then I would even feel good, they're like, oh, I can't make it, but it was never even like that. You just okay, come if you can, come, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this together. And you would lead the whole charge.
So your audience should know, sup bitches, stand up. You know, somebody's listening like, why would you say that?
I'm so
Clutching pearls.
confused. You are also, what everybody else needs to know is you are also one of the funniest women I've ever met. Absolutely ever
I've
met.
been saying.
Hysterical. Like the shit that will come out of your mouth sometimes, I'm like, that is amazing. I don't know where that even came from, but that was amazing. Social media, especially.
Fair enough, fair enough. Well, so I'll go ahead and say it's kind of like working out. You work out, Michelle.
I know.
Your ability to go to the gym and work out your anger, frustration, and keep sane. Your
That makes
ability to
sense.
continue to prioritize your fitness and well-being, because all of that ties into also your mental well-being, everything. You don't have time for that either. You don't have time
No,
to go to the gym. You don't have time to do any of those things because you have 37 kids and you work 150
exactly.
hours a week. You don't have time. You prioritize that time because you know you need to. You know it's not just good for you, it's good for everyone around you. A happy Michelle is good for everyone. It's the same thing with subfishes. It's
So
the
funny.
yeah, it's the same thing with with the different charities and organizations we all
Mhm.
work. It's yeah, you're right. We don't have time. We prioritize the time. We prioritize the time. We make the time. And
I
I'm not
feel
saying
like you do that really well. Well, I don't know. I mean, I seriously feel like you do that really well. And I know, I'm sure, like, all of us have appearances on the outside, but like when I think of you, I really do think that you prioritize that stuff very well. And I feel like you've always done a really good job of having those social components and holding them as a priority. And your children watch that and see that. I mean, when you think about like of your upbringing and you think about your life, like where are the core components that you feel like those pieces shaped you? Because I think like the story of all of us, like we all have this story, right? In looking back on my life, I can see some of these pieces that I then took, like watching my very independent mother, right, go get 3 masters. That carried and shaped me into being a very independent woman who would also never depend on a man
Mhm.
and wanted to make sure that I had my own finances, which carried me well through that
Yep.
first disaster dumpster fire of a marriage.
Mhm.
And so I think that there's these things, whether we're conscious of them or not conscious of them, that still shape us, good or bad. I mean, I kind of look at everything like it just is. It wasn't bad or good. It is what shaped me.
Yeah.
So when you think about like some of those pieces, whether it's, your child, your parenting or your marriage from your childhood, what are the core pieces that you feel like you've taken away, and how have you let them shape you?
Ooh, that's an excellent question, which I had no way to prepare for in advance. So give me one second.
That's the point. That is the point. And that is 100% okay. Because I think I love the process of thinking through things and the cathartic
Hmm.
moments that happen when we talk about things. Because I don't know that it's always, I learn, and that's the whole, for me, this podcast is such a series of talking things through and learning as I talk through them, of like, oh, that does make sense. That is kind of why I associate this with that. Like I can think about so many moments that maybe I haven't thought of before, but now I look at, and in talking to other people, I'm like, oh, that makes sense why I do that and why I
Yeah.
do that the way I do that now.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. That's fantastic. So I did therapy for a really long time. And I think something, and in some ways I still do therapy right now. I think one of the things that really helped me through that was when my therapist actually had me, and I'll keep this light because I'm sure many of us are already familiar with this if they're even listening and watching your podcast. I feel like anybody who's listening or watching, they are educated to some degree with being able to process. We'll just go ahead and say.
Maybe. I mean, honestly, I mean, I've been in therapy since what I was 2, because my mother was a therapist and then my stepmother was a therapist. So that I don't know. I feel like even if you've gone to therapy for a couple of years, like there is so much growth over
Yeah.
a lifetime that I have a lot of friends that have never gone to therapy. And I'm like, why? It is like the best thing ever to be able to like go and pay someone to talk that doesn't judging you
Yeah.
or necessarily giving you opinions. Like it's so cathartic to just be
Hmm.
able to go and talk to somebody that doesn't know your kids, doesn't necessarily know your family, that can be really objective
Yep.
and also, call you on your crap a bit too
Yes.
and be like, have you ever thought about this? Have you looked at it this way?
Yep.
You
And
and I've
give
had
me.
a lot of conversations about the honesty that comes out of therapy.
Yep. Absolutely. So I will say with that therapy, that gave me a little bit of insight for what may have shaped me later on, especially when she had me go back and be the adult figure that I needed to have
Mm.
when I was a younger child, that I just I had an absence. So I didn't
Yeah.
have the nurturing mother to save me in certain situations. My older sister was already moved out of the house. Obviously, I didn't have a good father figure at home with me. My biological father is fantastic, but he and my mom hadn't been together since I was a baby. Um, and so being able to go back and kind of heal my younger self, talk to my younger
Yeah.
self, and protect my younger self, and learn that in no way, shape, or form was I at fault. So I shouldn't have to carry
Mhm.
that guilt that I did for some reason. Was fantastic. Was very eye opening because I was told for so long, as I was beaten for so long, that I was a piece of shit, that we would
Mm.
that we were, and brown pieces of crap. Nobody would believe anything, and just all these different things. Um, I That shaped me a lot. That
I can
absolutely,
imagine. I mean,
yeah,
it breaks my heart so much because those are really, really painful core things that,
they are painful, but it also explains why I was such a workaholic.
Mhm.
Why I,
Totally.
yeah, why I
And so driven.
so driven, and why I've never chased the dollar, but I always made sure that I was the hardest working person, period. Period. And it wasn't to necessarily chase the dollar, but to kind of feel like I was bringing honor to my family,
Yeah.
that I was giving it my all, um, to be taken seriously, to not have the same struggles that I saw, and to, again, like I was saying earlier, to never feel like I had to be dependent on somebody. So that shaped me a lot. Which also really shaped me was driving around all hours of the night with my mom, tailing her husband and whatever woman she thought he was having an affair with,
Mm.
seeing how crazy she was. And I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't use that term. How
No, I think it's a
not
fair
herself
term. I mean,
was.
after all of the years in my first marriage and all of those affairs of my ex-husband, I think crazy is a fair, it pushed me to feel absolutely crazy because it's like gaslighting at extremes, right? Like
Yeah,
the definition of gaslighting is being told that your reality isn't your reality. And then you're with somebody who is constantly telling you your reality is not your reality. It makes you feel crazy because you're completely second guessing everything that you
yeah,
know. So that it is craziness. It is
yeah,
crazy making.
yeah. And it's also like, well, why are you fighting so hard for this man?
Absolutely.
This is not a good person. That's been well established for a very long time now. Why am I watching my mother go to these great lengths with her child? Why am
Mhm.
I getting, because this was back in the day, I'm having to go to the DMV to get addresses and just all these different things. Why are we going through these great lengths with this person who beat you, beat us, who raped you, who did all of these different things? Why are we working so hard for this marriage? So that
Oh, I get
shaped.
it. I mean, that piece is the final piece of why I finally left.
Mhm.
And as a as a mother living, I obviously didn't know your mom, but I can tell you, staying in a marriage where all of my friends could see the absolute craziness, could see the emotional abuse, and could see what was going on. And yet I stayed because I thought somewhere in there that I couldn't do it alone, which was absolutely crazy. But I also worried about what was going to happen to my kids
Yeah.
if I left.
Yeah.
And it finally took me to this place of realizing exactly what you just said through your eyes as a child, of watching your mom, what I was mirroring, that it's okay to treat women like this. It's okay to be so disrespectful. It's okay to be emotionally abusive. Only until I realized that that's what I was teaching my daughters was I able to finally leave.
Yep. You finally had to learn your value is way more.
Mm-hmm.
You are worth more than what you are allowing, what you were settling for, what you were showing your children that they could and should amount and accept. So good for you. Good for you. But I learned from my mom. I knew I never wanted that. I never wanted to be that. I never wanted to be dependent on anyone in that way. And unfortunately, it's the pendulum swing. I was so extreme the other way for so long. I almost blew up the most amazing man that I could have ever been blessed with. Lucas is not a perfect man, but I would go ahead and say he's pretty damn perfect for me. My husband is such a great partner for me, and he is a fantastic father. And again, that pendulum swing, man, I was trying so hard. And I think it's because it was, oh, I'm independent. Hear me roar. I don't
Mm-hmm.
need you. I don't need any of these things. I don't need your money. I make my own money.
Well,
But
and self-protective.
that's
If it
exactly it. I was
Because
terrified.
if you don't let him in, he can't hurt you.
Yep, that's exactly right. So thankfully, he is as annoying and willful as I am. He is also in different ways. He pretty much was like, "Nope, I'll keep trying. Just you wait. Just you wait." So, so it's
Did you do therapy together or
no,
just individually?
individually. It's actually kind of funny because I didn't realize I was actually pushing him away.
Yeah,
I
I
thought
get
he
that.
was so boring and vanilla, and I was just like, "What's wrong? What? I mean, you don't even seem to care. Do you even like me? Are you settling?" And he actually sat me down so calmly. This shaped me. I wasn't a child. I was in my mid to late 20s, and he sat me down and he said, "You're so used to turmoil and yelling and
Yeah,
screaming that you think that's the norm. It is not.
yeah.
That is immaturity in your emotional intelligence." And I
It
was
makes
like,
sense though, because
I
that's what
know.
you were
Oh,
raised with, right? We
yeah.
do what we know. That it also is hardwired us. So
Hmm.
that childhood, right? That trauma hardwires our brain.
Oh, for
So that
sure.
is our baseline.
For
And
sure.
anything else feels really, really uncomfortable
Hmm.
until we work through it, until
And it
we establish a new
pisses you
baseline.
off. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yep.
was like, when Lucas told me that, I'm sorry. What? Like, no.
That can't be true. I don't do that. That is you, not me.
And then eventually, turns out you're right. I'm a dick. So, I mean, sorry.
You have always
Sorry,
been
audience.
really, oh, that is the 18 and up. You have always been really good at, especially in your adulthood, at looking at the other side and looking at the other person's perspective. I mean, even in just that, even in just your marriage, because it's really, those are hard conversations when we have to look at ourselves and look at our side of the street. I feel like in any of our conversations, you always, and I appreciate your ability to help me to see the other side when I don't want to look at it, or I don't want to own it, or it's just really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You always very lovingly help with perspective and insight. So I always know that when I come to you with something, I always trust that you're very honest in your opinions, and you look at both sides of it. And I think that that is very emotionally mature.
It is now. So,
Isn't that how it
some
always
things to
works,
work through.
right?
Had some things to work out. Work out, work through. And I will say, I knew you were going to mention that because Lucas will sometimes will sometimes talk to me about basically just how I'm a little blunt. It's like
I
sometimes you're
kind of love that about, I have always loved that about you.
like, but the way that I also see it, I love you, Michelle. I respect you. I admire the hell out of you. I feel I would be doing you a disservice as your friend if I didn't offer that to you. If I didn't actually come to you with different perspectives, if I weren't actually honest with you and saying, I can hear where you're coming from. Maybe this is also something to consider. I
Mhm.
feel like honestly, I would just be a bad friend to you. It'd be different if it were just like a, hey, Mel, I'm coming to you. I don't need us to talk through anything. I just need us to sit together and I'm going to vent and I want you to listen. Bring it in, girl. Bring it in. But I know that's
You
not
are
always.
good with boundaries too. Like that is another thing. Like when I think about you, like you have gotten really, really good with your boundaries. And that took me years and years to start to even get good at. Like I would say even maybe in the last 5 years is when I finally started wrapping my head around a girlfriend of mine said boundaries are for you, not other people. And
Yep.
that literally took me by surprise. I have no idea why.
Hmm.
It's just that process of emotional maturity, but I'm sure it comes out of trauma. It comes out of having my boundaries overridden for so many years that I didn't even know how to create boundaries.
Yeah.
You have gotten very good at your boundaries and to even just talking through your boundaries.
Thank you. I will say that was a lot of work because you're not
Mm-hmm.
wrong. It's hard. And sometimes while your values may not really change that much, your boundaries may change depending on what's going on in life,
Mm-hmm.
depending on where you're prioritizing things within your life. But the way that I see it, you're absolutely right. The way that I see it, my boundaries aren't there really for any other reason than to protect my space. This is my space. This is what I need. But it's also for you. It's also for other people. It's kind of like the people that I keep in my life. I don't need every single person to elevate me, to elevate the room, to elevate the conversation, but I definitely don't want to have anyone in my tribe that's bringing it down either. I'm annoyingly optimistic, as you know. I like to stay there. That's a choice. That is a choice. I
It
choose
is a choice.
optimistic. So my boundaries help me with that. Let's keep them.
I mean, it's very helpful though, because it's one of those things where, in relationships, right? Like you kind of learn what to expect. And one of the things that I know that I can expect is that I can always expect you to be honest with me and be open with me. And any conversation that you and I have, like you create the space of if you're doing something, you're like, hang on, I'm going to take that. I want to be able to give you my full attention. I mean, even just those things are so incredibly supportive in just having as a friend. Like it's I know that I can count on you and the incredible amount of integrity that you have, that it when I think about my drag a body friends, that is you, friend. Like that is the if I need a 2 a.m. call and my life feels like it is really falling apart, and I know that without judgment, I can pick up the phone and be like, this is really messy. This is really ugly. I don't like how I'm showing up in this. You and I have had a lot of conversations around that and never any judgment, but just
No,
love and support. And the other side of it, like, well, you might want to think about this. It's appreciated.
likewise. I mean, that's why I work out. I want to be able to drag that body. We can take it far. Don't you worry.
That's 100% fair. 100% fair.
I won't even ask
And I
questions.
which is always the best part. It is like I think about the show Good. Was it Good Girls? Do you remember that show? Did you watch it?
Yes, I loved that show.
Me too. They should have done another season and they
Hmm.
didn't. But it's like that. Like right when you're like neck deep in stuff and you're like I don't even know if I don't feel like I'm doing this right. I feel like I'm leaving stuff on the table or I feel like I'm not showing up in my total self. Like those are the kinds of friendships that we all need to be really honest and be like, I don't like how I'm showing up in this and I don't know how to do it differently, or I'm scared to do it differently, or this is a really tough conversation and I know I need to have it, but I don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
I I hope all of us get to have friends like that in our life.
Absolutely. Well, not everyone's fortunate in that way. So I hope people just don't give up. So, because you're not wrong. We all need that. And sometimes we just need to be centered. And sometimes our friends can do that for us, with us. Sometimes we just need a friend to be like, girl, you done? Like, what is happening? What is happening?
Why would you even say that? Or why would
Yep.
you even do that?
And that's okay as long as it's coming from love. That's okay as long as it's coming
Agreed.
from love, depending on what it is, obviously. But no, I'm with you on that. And it's keep in mind it goes both ways. You've been with me through some rough stuff. You've been with me through some times where I was acting, let's just go ahead and say acting like my mom, my crazy periods, where you're like, but why? Is this worth all the effort? Have you really thought
We
about
all have them. We all have them.
this?
And even as like grown adults, right? Like how much have we changed over the years?
Um,
And I mean, I am so amazingly proud of you for stepping outside of corporate America. That is so scary to
oh,
make that decision to then be a business owner, right? Which I know is not easy because we have our hardwood floor business.
mhm,
I have always still stayed secure in corporate America,
mhm.
um, because of the stability,
Yep.
which I'm sure is childhood related, of wanting to make sure that I'm always, stable and as a breadwinner, be able to provide that. But I have been so impressed with your fearlessness in this last year of being willing to go try something different.
Oof,
What
you
has
give me
that
too
been
much
like for
credit.
you?
No, you give me
Oh,
way too much
but what
credit.
has it been
I'm
like? Because it is
terrified all
not
the time.
easy.
I'm terrified all the time. There's been times where I'm like, I need to buff up my resume just in case. Like, oh, this corporation's looking for somebody with my skill set. We should just see because it is scary. I do want the stability.
Totally.
I've always had the benefits. I've always made consistent, stable money,
Hmm.
good money. So to not only be a business owner, but a blue collar industry business owner, and this is
Right?
all Lucas and I do full time, is terrifying. It is absolutely terrifying. But again, as I mentioned to you, I don't chase I don't chase the dollar. I just firmly believe if we're making good business decisions, at least sound decisions, logical decisions, and we're doing the right thing, the rest will kind of fall into place.
Are
So,
you happier?
oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I miss nothing. I go to
Nothing.
every single game, practice, event, field trip. I do everything that my kids will allow me to do. So, Luke,
I love that. I
getting to
know
the
your
age where they're
children.
like,
They are fierce. Hmm.
they are fierce. And our 10-year-old Asha, she definitely is opinionated. She has straight up said, Mommy, are you going to come to my school? Yes. Are you going to brush your hair first?
Stop. I love her so much. I love that kid. She is fierce. She is going to be an absolute force of
Yep.
nature. And 100% I know got some of that from her mama because
Well, yeah.
you are fierce, but
Well,
you are happy.
I am definitely happy. I love being present for everyone, for everything. I want to be able to have brunches with my good friend Michelle. I want to be able to go on the river, do sup fishes. I want to be able to help coach soccer if I'm needed, to sign up my kids for rugby. I want to be able to go on, impromptu lunch dates with my husband because we can. Definitely happier. Owning your own business is stressful, and I won't pretend like it's
Mhm.
not. It absolutely is. But at the end of the day, I'm working really hard for us. I'm working really hard for my family and our employees' families. I'm not working really hard for a CEO that I will probably never meet more than twice in my entire tenure within a company. So it's nice. Pros and cons for sure. Overall, very, very happy with the decision. So, and it's been great.
I love that for you. I think that is amazing. I mean, I could see like within myself how many triggers I could have just about fear of
Mhm.
stability. Do you feel like you've worked, because it sounds to me like you've worked through a lot of that like childhood fear and trauma of instability and worrying about money? Because in order to open to do that and leave and both of you full time doing that, That's a very scary place. I mean, I think about it all the time with our business.
Hmm.
Do you feel like you've worked through the majority of that where you don't get triggered in that regard with owning a business?
No, I'd be lying if I could tell your audience. Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
fair
I'd
enough.
be lying. No, I definitely have insecurities and fears when it comes to that. But I also understand, and what I try to remind myself of, we'll be fine. We will get through it.
Mm.
Even if we have hardships, we'll be okay. And we will find a way to still persevere. So, yes, and that's honestly, I don't know if that'll ever go away. I genuinely don't know if that'll ever.
Probably not.
Yeah, yeah,
That's probably fair.
yeah.
I mean, when you think about like, I love the reflection of it will be fine because I think if we look historically in every situation, it has always worked out
Mm,
how it was supposed to, or in our best interest. It's
yeah,
that fear, that anxiety is future thinking, right? Hasn't even happened. Kind of the definition of anxiety, which you know is not necessarily in the moment or even real. It's just that fear.
yep, yep,
What do
absolutely.
you think when you look back over your life? What are you the most proud of?
There are a few, there are a few shining moments where I'm like, hell yeah, there's a reason I'm on this earth. There's a reason why I survived that. There's a reason why I didn't die that day. There are a few moments like that, and I think we probably all have them. But I'd say probably my biggest and most impactful, and I don't care how kumbaya this may sound, it's the
I
truth.
love Kumbaya.
I would have to say it's my ability to hopefully be the mother to my children that I feel that my kids actually deserve.
Oh,
So
I love that.
trying
I
not to
love that.
be a little bitch. But
I love that so much though, because that piece, like I've been thinking about that a lot lately as Andoni's getting ready to go to college,
Mm,
which hallelujah. I mean, there's a day I wasn't sure was ever going to happen. But I look at him and I get that like teary, like, oh man, he's going to be okay.
yep,
And he's going to be incredible. And I can't wait to see the rest of his life.
yep,
I think we spend so much time in our careers, and especially when we've grown up in these careers,
mhm,
so many hours and so much time and so much thought into ladders and hierarchies or just jobs and doing jobs well. But the real work is at home. And
yep,
these kids being able to grow up and turn into incredible human beings and have a part of that,
yep, yep.
it's incredible.
And I do want to clarify, I don't think that I'm nailing it. I don't think I'm the perfect mother.
Oh,
Actually, all the time, I have to, it's kind of funny, it's a running joke. I have to turn and look to Lucas every so often and just be like, "Ooh, I think our children forgot I grew up in the ghettos." Like, I just get so mad and I want to pop off, but I don't.
I mean, I wouldn't say I don't come unhinged.
I
Let's
don't.
be honest. I think all kids are going to need therapy at some point. Like, there's no way for kids to grow up like 100% that, and I don't know that they're supposed to.
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I honestly think that all of us have things we have to work through, and that is what shapes us, and that is what builds us. So I remind myself always, like, as I put $20 in a future therapy jar for them, maybe not their college fund, that that is part of their lessons too, that
yep.
I am just doing the absolute best that I can on a daily basis,
There we go.
and
And you're doing it out of love.
that's part of their journey too.
Yep,
Yes,
absolutely. Yep,
is
yep,
if it were perfect, none of us would have anything to learn, and where would all the resiliency come from? Like, we grow through discomfort, we grow through pain, we go through figuring it out, we grow through the struggle. So we kind of have to give ourselves some grace and let ourselves off the hook of being perfect. That is not going to happen.
yep. I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. I mean, if life were that easy, I can't imagine life would even be that worth living. How do you learn to
What else
appreciate
would we
things?
do? Well, isn't that what they say about joy, right? Is that in order to know joy, we have to know sorrow. And in order to know happiness, we have to know pain and struggle.
Yep.
Or love, right? In marriages. If we were so afraid to lose it, we wouldn't know the joy of getting to have it.
Yep. Absolutely. No, absolutely. No. And
I
I
love
should
you,
say also,
friend.
when it comes to the kids, I've been part of what I'm proud of is the family that
Mm-hmm.
I've built and that we've built. And I don't mean by blood, but do you know how many titas, aunties, uncles my kids have? Have zero blood relation. Zero blood relation.
Mm-hmm.
I I may not have grown up with the perfect household, the perfect family, but man, my family's huge. Our family is huge. My kids are always supported. They always have people they know they love and trust and can go to that have zero blood relation to them. So I also think, like, damn, how lucky are they? How lucky am I? How lucky are we that we get to have that?
Huge community,
Mhm.
a huge family of community. And I mean, when I do think about you, I always think about you have created a huge community of people. And that is always present, especially on your birthday service of whatever it is the project is for this year. It is really always amazing to me how many people are so invested in you and in your kids and in your life. And it's just, it's the beauty that you've created, out of growing up through chaos, right?
Mhm.
What a beautiful community that you have created, even when I'm sure growing up you felt very alone.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting that you bring that up because you're right. I don't know how to put this. I knew I was alone. I know I didn't have help, but there was something that made me feel like there was purpose, that I was going to survive, that I wasn't actually alone. I didn't grow up in a religious household, but I came to become a more religious minded person. I just had no idea who or what it was. So,
That is an incredible feeling to have because I don't know that everybody feels that way. And that's something like I have struggled with that my whole life is that feeling. Even though I know, like I feel that,
mhm,
but it is something that I have to kind of consciously cultivate and
mhm,
really work on. It's not a feeling that just necessarily comes naturally to me. So that was probably a gift that absolutely saved you as a child,
I
is
don't
that
disagree.
feeling.
I don't disagree. No, I'm trying constantly not to give into the myths that you were told, the lies that you were told, and
Mhm.
understanding the truth and understanding your truth as you get older and kind of the wisdom that we all grow from. So,
And
yeah.
then raising children who get to grow up with such confidence. I mean, Asha has a lot of confidence, a ridiculous amount of confidence. What an incredible gift to be able to, you know, pay that forward with.
Isn't it great when you have kids with all this confidence and just the
Mm-hmm.
self-assuredness, and then you get the call from the school saying it's going to
Oh,
be fantastic when she's older, but for right now it's a little difficult because she's a little
I'm
strong-willed.
on first name basis always with principals and vice principals. And you haven't even gotten to the teenage years yet. You just wait. I've lived through two of those.
Ugh.
That is amazingness coming.
I'm giving her to you. She's going to go to
Oh,
Aunt.
well, clearly I take everyone. So go ahead, bring her over. It's fine. It'll be fine. I
I'll
can
help
use
you set up the
what's
rooms. So
that's see, 38. It's fine. I can always use more.
there you
I love
go.
you, friend.
I love you. I love you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, thank you for coming and just being willing. It's like it's a scary space coming and talking about yourself for your story, but I think that that is the beauty of getting to share, whether, somebody listens to the whole thing or even just listens to pieces. We are not alone and we are not terminally unique in our dysfunction. We've all been raised with it. We've all had it. And it can feel lonely or scary. But once we kind of talk to each other, I was at the oral surgeon before we got to talk today. And the gal that I was talking to, she's so sweet, had a very similar upbringing as you did. And she joined the podcast today. And this is why, like, we all get to share and we all get to talk and know that we're not alone and know that our stories of dysfunction, we all have them. And that is what makes us relatable and lovable. And when the more we share, the more we feel connected. And, you know, call it trauma bonding, call it whatever you want to, but it is what makes us all feel like we're just kind of in this together and none of us are alone.
Yep, absolutely. And we all have a story, but just keep in mind, it doesn't have to be your entire story. We all have chapters in our story. Maybe it's just a chapter. You can
and they
tell
don't define us.
one. Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
We still have so many more chapters to hit together, friend. So many more.
I am so excited for them because I turned 50 this year. Who would have thought? That's exciting. See my glass half full trying to come out. Yep, I am working on that. Yeah. But I will say, I am more excited about this next decade than I even was in my 30s because I appreciate the wisdom and I appreciate the friendships that I get to do this next decade with. And I appreciate the ages of the kids being a little bit older and the freedom that is coming to be able to do that and cultivate my friendships more than I was maybe able to do, you know, when the kids are really young. Yeah. So I look forward to this next decade.
Well, and it's amazing. It's amazing how much we have the ability to grow with a growth mindset when you are surrounded by authenticity.
100%. Absolutely.
And overthink. So,
and don't you care less about that at this decade? I care way less about that. I'm like, here is my hot mess express. This is it. And I love you for it. And hopefully you'll love and accept me. And if you don't, then move along.
That's exactly.
This is me.
I say that all the time. I'm an acquired taste and that's okay. Not everybody has to. Not everyone has to enjoy it. And that is absolutely okay. Doesn't mean that I want to be, you know, unkind to somebody. I want everyone to eat. Just doesn't have to all be at the same table. And that's okay too. That is absolutely okay.
I love that.
Yeah. But
and I love that at this stage.
Yep. Absolutely.
It's a much more comfortable stage to be in. Less worry about what other people think. Like, I really don't much anymore. And that is a wonderful place to be.
Yeah. I'm agreeing with you. And I know in my core, I'm like, hell yeah, girl, yes. But then there's also the part of me that's like, I can't wait till I turn 50 because then I'm going to tell everyone that I'm actually 65. And they'll go, you don't look a day over 50. And I'm like, oh, I know. And then I'll sell them like an MLM or something. So
I am 100% going to do that. Now I'm just going to tell everybody I'm 65. That's brilliant. I should have thought about that years ago.
Shout out to Brooke. She gave me that idea. I'm like, oh, it's genius. I can't wait. So
that is a genius idea. I'm totally doing that. So from now on, I'm just 65.
Yeah.
Living my best years right now.
Yeah. And then with the he looks like he's 25. Like,
because he is. He's just turning 37. He literally is still, you know, 12 years does make a difference. But I will tell you, I mean, it is interesting as a woman, and that's a whole other podcast, and we can talk about that another time. But as a woman, I'm grateful that I'm going into 50s not angry about it. Like, I'm actually like, this is okay. I'm actually kind of in, I love this stage, even when my husband is 37. So there's that.
Well,
there's a whole other section.
He looks like he's younger than he is too.
That's why I don't let him shave, because then he looks 20 still. And I'm like, that's too much. That's like outside the decade of appropriate. So we're just going to keep the facial hair and we'll be good.
That's what I say to Lucas too. I'm like, one time one person, my friend, called me Mrs. Robinson. I turned to Lucas. I was like, you will never straight shave your face again.
Oh, that's happened. I had a real estate agent when we bought our last house that was like, oh, you brought your son. Nope. Sure didn't. But I call him daddy occasionally. Just kidding. Horrible. It was horrible. But now I just laugh about it. Like, I used to cry about the 12-year age difference. Truly. Honestly, it was awful for like, probably like 7, 8 years. And then something shifted and I stopped caring about it. And this is why, like, post into my 40s, like, I just care a lot less about any of those things or opinions or anything other than being unapologetically, this is my life. And I really kind of like it now.
Yeah. Show me one man in his 40s who complains about a 12-year age gap with his younger wife.
None. But I will tell you, for women, I mean, I can speak from experience on this one. It is definitely looked at differently. Like, you get a lot more crap about having a younger man than men get. 100%.
I don't
Like,
disagree, and it's probably mostly from women. It's all bullshit, though.
I think
I don't disagree with
I
you.
don't know if it's mostly from women or men. I think I've gotten it both ways.
Oh,
But
that's true. You have a
maybe
lot
you
of
are
guy.
right.
You do have a lot of
It
guy
might
friends.
be. Hmm. Oh, and there was a whole bunch of them. That's a whole other area we could talk about. Like, even when we first started dating, it was a lot of the guys that were really, I would say it was really more the guys that said anything about it and had anything to say about it. And here we are, 13 years later. See, like, jokes on all of you.
Right? And happily married on top of that with
And it
beautiful children.
and it right, and it keeps me young. I mean, who is going to take care of me? I think it was smart to marry a younger man if you think about it, right? Like,
Really?
then I have somebody to take care of me. I'm not going to have to take care of him,
You
even
invested
though
in his future and yours.
on any given morning he sounds older than I do.
I mean, he definitely
It's
walks
so
the
true. I'm like,
walk when he's older. Uh,
oh, it's ridiculous. I'm like, you don't get to complain. You're 37. Whatever. You cannot sound this old, please.
I love that though. I love that for you.
Me too. Me too. And I'll love it in another 20 years when I'm like, oh, thanks for wheeling me around. You're so spry these days. It's going to be great. Well, I love you. Thank you for talking with me today. And thank you for being willing, because it's not an easy thing to be vulnerable. And one of the things that I love most about you is just your authenticity. And I'm sure, I have zero doubt that there will be a whole bunch of people who do listen through this and find little pearls and little feelings of identification. And that's what I think is so cool about podcasts, is that they're evergreen. They're out there forever. And you never know who is going to stumble across that and get something out of it, or something that they can identify with. So I love you and thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I love your podcast and excited to see you grow within this too and listen to your guest speakers. And this is fantastic. You're making a difference, Michelle.
Thank you. This is my contribution back and my own healing journey.
Yes.
And for everybody that is listening, keep coming back. Right now, we're doing every other week to fit in with my other adult life. And I hope that you take something away from this and keep tuning in. It's going to be a fun journey.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Have fun on your vacation.
I'm so excited, and we're headed out.
Yes. Bye, friend. Love you.
Love you.